among the measures that the British government has reintroduced to try and curb the spread of the Omicron variant is for people in England to work from home, if possible. Well, Dr. Jessie Matheson is a senior economics lecturer at the University of Sheffield. Many thanks indeed for joining us on the programme. So I'm seeing that Transport for London are saying that almost 1 in 5 people who used the tube or the underground in London last week did not travel on it this morning. So it sounds like people are heeding the guidance to work from home. Is this reinforcing, do you think, this trend of hybrid, the mix of in-office and remote working, and is that irreversible now?
Well, to some extent it is. I think what we're going to see is as the public health restrictions relax, we do see people going back to the office, and until recently, that's what the trend was. However, what we're estimating is there will be a permanent shift towards working from home relative to before the pandemic. So we're expecting the average worker to spend about 1 day a week at home.
So you and your academic colleagues at Sheffield and Nottingham and Birmingham have been looking at the economic impact of that, people working at home more. I believe you've coined the term Zoom shock. Tell us what that is and what you've found.
So Zoom shock is a name that we've given to the very sudden increase in working from home that we saw because of the pandemic. So it basically reflects how much work will be done at home when everybody can work from home. And that's what the public health restrictions really do. Now, one of the things that we're finding is that this leads to a big change in where people are spending their money on things like coffee and restaurants and drinks after work and retail shopping. So all of that spending that you do when you're at work. When we work from home, instead of spending in our city centers, we're spending in the neighborhoods where we live. And so what we're estimating now is that because of the movement to working from home, there's going to be about a £3 billion a year reallocation of that spending from the city centres over into residential neighbourhoods.
Yeah, a lot of money, so $4 billion. Who are those winners and who are the losers then? You mentioned retail, hospitality, so in terms of jobs and sectors, and also geographic areas, who's going to come out on top and who's going to really lose out?
So the winners, as far as if we think about retail and hospitality, the winners are going to be places that are set up in residential neighborhoods. So think about your local coffee shop where you live. This place is probably doing really well right now. That's not the case for retail and hospitality that's set up in city centers. So they're probably struggling right now. That probably means there's going to be some business closures and job losses as a result. If we think about who the winners and losers are from working from home in general, so really working from home, this benefits people who have jobs that are probably computer-based. These tend to be higher paying jobs. So it's really benefiting workers that have a job where they can just set up a computer and work from home. The people who are not benefiting from this are, of course, jobs that need to be done on site. And unfortunately, this tends to be those same workers in retail and hospitality who could potentially face having to reallocate their job if they're currently working in city centres.
And is the same picture emerging outside of the UK? Is this really an international trend?
Absolutely. So we actually have some colleagues at Stanford University who have been running a similar survey, and they're finding very similar results in the US. In fact, they can even be a little bit worse in the US because many American cities, we see much more separation between the city center and where people live. So this really exacerbates the results that we're finding.
Jessie Matheson from the University of Sheffield. Many thanks indeed.